All right, so in the unlikely circumstance that this goes out to anyone else, I am just trying to set up a stream. Looking at so many buttons and panels. Let's see, webcam, no, manage. Yeah, I do everything live. Can I delete this other one? Edit. Actions. Delete forever. Yeah, I understand, yes. Just getting rid of the other bonus one. I'll see if I can post edit this. Let's go back to this one. Cool. Apparently we're streaming. Now let's see. Because what I want to do. Can I share this? Okay. Can I share this link? General. Never. So I'm just typing it in the Discord. We used streaming on OBS to YouTube before testing now. Figure this will be a easier way for more free-form tutorials to be recorded and shared. If anyone wants to tune in to see if it's working. Okay, so I just sent it out to all the 3 people in the Morphin Discord who are who should be awake. What I was going to try and do is maybe just show how I got this thing set up, and you know, just show a full thing with all the warts and all the bugs, all the crashes, the lack of Ubuntu. You know, it's come up in the Discord a few times of saying, you know, there's all these missing features, and there totally are missing features. But, you know, you can still make stuff. And I think, you know, just to reiterate the point that I made before, I think it's more useful for Morphin as a whole for people to make stuff than to complain about bug reports. I mean, obviously report bugs, but I think it would be good to, you know, just get stuff out there if you can. I think that's like the more useful thing to do. What's this warning I'm getting? Just looking at the stream in Studio, can't see what's complaining about. Stream is lower than the recommended bit rates. Okay, can I fix that? Yep. So I'm trying to keep my eye on OBS over here, my screen over here, where I'm looking at you, and the YouTube warnings saying a higher bit rate. Can I change that? Can I change that? Studio mode settings. Let's have a look. Stream, ignore settings, output, bitrate. So it's saying I should make that higher. It's saying 7,000. So I'll go to 6,000. See if that's any better. And I'd be amused if anyone actually joins the stream. I'll just start recording anyway. I am recording. I'll just show what it's going to show. So I think what I'll show is, I might even try doing this from scratch, or even I'll show what's going on under the hood here. So if I go back to regular bone mode, I can see there's some bugs where some of the bones are stuck in the yellow mode. I don't know why. But what I have here is I have a bunch of IK handles. So I'm trying to clear my throat. Let me see if I can do that. I think that's better. Okay, so I've got a bunch of IK things, so one for each foot and one for each hand. So my initial plan with this was to do a walk cycle, but what I found was trying to puppeteer the walk cycle and make the cadence look nice and even. It was really hard without a graph editor. I keep talking about wanting a graph editor, but what I realized at one point when I turned off one of the feet, it looked like it was skateboarding. I thought, well, I can work with that. So that's what I did. So I stole a skateboard from one of my other Nomad sculpts and just puppeteered it all together. And it came out okay. The other thing that I thought kind of worked well was to do this cheat with this single sphere here that's just being keyframed to slide along to make it look like it's traveling at speed. So you can see, like, I started there, I drifted back to there, then I quickly sort of knock it out of the way and back to the front, and then I drift it back again, keyframe it, draw it out of the way, back to the front. It's now over here somewhere, and then have it slide back. And that sort of helps give that impression of speed. The other thing I did when I recorded it was I went into the iOS recorder settings, turned on the microphone, and grabbed my phone, found a clip of some skateboarding sounds on YouTube, and just held it up to the mic on this thing, and got a little compiled thing. So very, very silly, very hacky, but you know, that's how I like it. So to make this from scratch, let's see if we can uncover a ton of bugs. It's probably useful for the developer to see the pain points for now. So if I go back to Nomad, this is a character I was going to try and do another just idle head shape thing, but I'll come back to that later, I think. So we go to open, and I'm going to show right from the start what I did. So this is my reduced one, and I should have the original one hidden behind, which I think I do. Yeah, high res down here. So if I enable that and hide all these guys, oops, they're all selected. Okay, so here's my high res mesh and high res eyeballs. So you can see fairly dense mesh. Did I show the full one? Yeah, I'm going to go right back. That's the point of this stream, is to show everything from first principles. So I go find him. I think he's down here somewhere. I have so many sculpts. I should tidy up these folders. There he is. Okay, so this was the original thing that I rendered, and you can see it's so a few things I've noticed. A lot of my sculpts tend to rely on the post-processing to make it look kind of showable. If I turn that off and go back to matcap mode and go back to like sort of a plain white material, this is what it would. This is kind of a preview of what it would look like inside Morphin if I just do it as is. The other thing to be aware of here is it's lots of component parts. So I've got separate bits for the legs. Usually when I'm doing sculpts, I'm very loose. I don't go naming things properly. I don't sort of bother. It's just whatever I need to do to get it done. So when animating, or when thinking a bit about rigging, what I've mentioned before in the forum is you really have to put on a different hat and go, okay, I've got to make this model as clean and as minimal as I possibly can. So my general policy is, wherever possible, make it a single mesh, unless it doesn't make sense. So what I'm kind of doing at the moment is I'm generally, for like a body like this, I would just collapse it all down. So I'd merge and smooth it, but I'd keep the eyes separate. And then of course you got to worry about the poly count, and you got to reduce that, and then ideally have more interesting color than this, and fix that up as well. So let's talk more stuff. So I'm just going to find where the eyes are, and I'll just hide them for now because I want to, whoops. So the eyes are in here. So I've got a mirror group. So I'm going to validate this mirror, and I'm going to just hide the eyes, but show the head and show, whoops, show the ears. Go away, eyes. Okay. So this is everything that I want. This ground plane can go. Everything that I see on screen, I want to combine. So I think these arms and legs are already, I've got the mirror turned off because I posed it. If I look purely from the side, you can see that it's a bit off axis. I tend to do that in Nomad just to make the poses look more interesting. What I could do, if I was so inclined, because it might make the rigging a little bit easier, is I might symmetrize it. So rather than kind of try and line this up, I might just select one side. Oops, I'm in cell mask mode. Okay, go away. Clear the mask, clear all, and go to this guy, clear all. Okay, so I'm going to delete one of these legs and mirror the other one. So that, and then split mirror. Okay, so now that's mirrored. I'll do the same for the arm. So choose this arm, delete it. This arm, I might even rotate that away a bit, just so it doesn't sort of collide with itself. Obviously, anytime you can keep the limbs a little bit further away from each other, the easier it is to rig. So I might just drift that away a bit. So, you're trying to judge the line between it still having character in its default pose, because it's less work for later on, but also make it easy to rig. So let's see if I can split and mirror. That doesn't feel too bad. Okay, and I think that the head is asymmetrical as well. So let's see if I can get lucky and if I can reset that. Yep. So I can just move that up to there. What is that bonus? Oh, that's the head. So I just want to see where it was. So we can just fix the rotations. Yep. Just pose them up like that. Okay, make sure the eyes were coming as well. They were. Cool. Okay, so this is now symmetrical enough that I can feel confident to bake it. Okay, so I'm going to merge all these shapes. So what I'm going to do is, rather than select from the outliner, I'm going to just use the select tool, just grab it all and go join. Now, as Holger found to his dismay, you have to be careful about the transforms. And so if that scale number is negative, you get all kinds of problems. So I'm just going to bake this out. So it's now reset transforms. It's a fairly common pre-rigging set. All right, next thing. So this is combined to a single mesh, which I'll call high res, but I want to make sure it's seamless. So I'm just going to run a quick Boolean on this. So Boolean and Boolean. So now if I were to look at the seams, and if I wanted to, I could smooth on these edges, and they should smooth out if I turn off the wireframe so you can see that. But obviously this is super high res. More high res than I would like it to be for Morphin. So I'm definitely going to de-res it with a decimate operation later, but I'm just going to just a very quick cursory blend of those seams, just so it blends in a bit better, like that. I should be using my symmetry brush so I can mirror that way. Sure. Okay, so I've copied some of those things. I'll do a quick smooth on the neck as well, turn on symmetry this time. So we can calm that down, hide this menu. Okay. So I really can't emphasize enough how much I'm not being careful. I'm just trying to get this done as fast as I can, because I just want to see something moving in a hurry. I'm very impatient. Okay, so that's not bad. Next thing I did was to look at some quick coloring. Just looking at this outline, I can see there's a lot of empty groups. I'm just going to tie that up so I'm not so confused. I don't need the lights either. So this is just the eyeballs. So I might even validate that thing. Yeah, I'll just grab these two eyes and just merge them so I don't have to worry about it too much. Take that off, that, and join. Move that to the top. Call that eyes. Get rid of this mesh. So that's the basis for the high res. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to do a quick paint job on this. So I'm going to do it on a layer, just because I like to see it on a layer. Fill it with the color. Let's go with some sort of like brown like that. I'm just going to do the color for now, paint all. Because Morphin does support roughness and metalness, I will switch over to painting in PBR mode. So I'm going to increase the thing and going to get these base properties a bit more correct. So the roughness right now is way too low. So make it look kind of soft like that. Paint all, and this is using subsurface I can see, so I'm going to change it to the opaque shader, so like that. I think that could do with a bit more saturation, so more this way. Yeah, it's just my sort of neutral tone. Cool. And then broadly for shading, I'm going to use anything that's sort of facing up, I will make a bit lighter. Anything that's facing down, I'll make darker. It's just sort of to help the shading. So I'm going to, so to do the lighter bits, I'm going to swing this a bit more to the yellows. Make it a little bit lighter like that. Then I'm going to use the paintbrush with a very low opacity. I might even do this on a layer just to be careful. And I'm just going to quickly sort of brush on the upwards facing bits. So across the top, across the back of the head, back of the body, top there, top of the arms, top of the ears, like that. Cool. And then I'm now going to do another layer for the darker bits, and eventually I will take all these layers and just collapse them down. So I'm going to choose a dark color, like that, more of a sort of a dark brown, and paint all the lower bits. For some reason, lighter tones need a very light opacity down here. Darker ones need a slightly higher one for it to come through. So do this on the lower bits. Just trying to get something that looks sort of naturalistic-ish. Doesn't have to be perfect. There on the outside. Always helps to sort of like bring to darken around the eyes a bit, just so it looks kind of interesting. Maybe the bottom of the ears, just to get some tonal variation, and that kind of works. And then what I'll do as well is I'll do the pink layer for sort of exposed skin. Again, try not to take too much time. So let's go for like a pink, skin pink, more like that, I guess. Fairly saturated. And I'll use this to paint sort of across the belly. Turn this opacity down again, intensity down. Might put a little bit across the bottom of the muzzle, end of the nose, definitely in the ears, like that. What else? Maybe a little bit on the underside of the hands, underside of the feet. Not that you'll ever see it, but yeah, I like to be careful. Does that look? That's starting to look a bit more kind of interesting. And then I might do some striping, because striping always looks cool. So I'm going to sample the color I have here. I'm going to do a darker thing and just paint in some stripes or something. So put like a line down its back. Like that, and give him some tiger stripes, because it looks kind of funny. Maybe a bit of tiger stripes across his legs. Like that. And then the other thing I'll do that I haven't done yet is I'll paint sort of dark on his nose, but also make that be a bit shinier, just to give a bit of sort of tonal and sort of like surface variation. So something like, say, that. I'll turn this one up, paint his nose. Try not to waste time. Paint in a little bit of his lips, I think. I've noticed that, you know, dogs have sort of black lips quite often. I find that always looks kind of funny. What else got to do? Paint his fingernails and his toenails the same. So I'll just do a quick. Shit, too rough. I'm gonna be, you know, quick, but let's not make a mess. Paint there. Paint this nail. Like that. Still not in the stream, that's fine. I'd rather just do this solo anyway. Paint his toenails. Other side. Bit stronger brush. Okay, not perfect, but that'll do. That feels like it's got a bit of character there. Now, in terms of converting these to textures, I'm sort of bouncing back and forth between ways of doing this, because ideally you want like a single texture atlas for everything, like a single texture for the entire body, rather than have like every body part have a separate texture. I think I've worked out a way, but we'll see. I mean, it seems to work in Morphin. So what I'm doing is, now that I've got that done, I'm going to clone this, hide the original, and I'm going to call this like just mesh or body or something. So mesh, because this is the mesh that we're going to send to Morphin. So I'm just going to drop back into matcap mode for a sec. And this is, I guess, more representative of what we'll see in Morphin, so that feels pretty good. I'm just also going to bake that down. So bake the layers down. So bake. Cool. Not that it matters, because we're going to transfer color anyway. So I'm going to now decimate this. So this is currently 300,000 polygons. So I'm going to go decimate until it gets down to something that feels reasonable for animation. So that's still too high. 20,000, 9,000. I'll try one more step. That feels pretty good. I can work with that. And I'll do the same for the eyes. So I'll copy the eyes. Call this eyes, high-res eyes. And then clone that. And call these ones eyes. And we can hide the others and just decimate this down till it feels appropriate. So this is at 12,000. Decimate, 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 decimate. 388, that feels pretty good. Okay, so we'll go with that. Okay, so let's go back to our low-res body for a sec. And so we have to generate UVs and we have to transfer the colors and the normals. So I'm going to go, so with this mesh selected, I'm going to go to this menu, go to UV unwrap, and we have an unwrap. Seems to work fine in its default. And now I'm going to transfer information into textures. So I'm going to just make the other high-res mesh visible. So you can see that that's active. Sorry, it's visible, but only this mesh is the active mesh. Just make it easy to see. I'm going to press solo. So when we bake, we should see the change. So I'm going to turn off wireframe, and now with it like this, I'm going to go to bake to texture from high res. And you can see that's worked. So this is now much sharper textures. It's converted the normal maps over. So if you just want to sort of compare that, you can go to the materials and slide the normal map back and forth to see how that's working. So that looks pretty good. Yeah, so that one's baked. That's cool. Let's do the same for the eyes. So turn this one off, turn the eyes on, and we will make some UVs and turn off the inspector and bake texture. Cool. So now we look at the mesh and the eyes, turn off the high-res eyes. So I think that's our character ready to export. Other last thing to always check is check for face groups. So if I go to the body mesh for a sec and turn face groups, too many face groups, so you have to reset that. So go to, so we're in the face group tool, go to patch up here and hit reset. So now there's only one default face group, and it'll do the same for the eyes, although I doubt they have any. Patch, and yeah, there's nothing to reset. So that's now good to go. So it's back to turn them both on. This is what we'll export to Morphin. So I'm going to export only the visible objects. So go there. I'll just save this actually before I forget. Save as new Morphin. Okay. So I'm going to export this. So GLTF, the visible meshes with normals and textures. Export. Save to files. Export Gerberu stream. Okay, let's see how we did. So let's jump back over to Morphin and go File and turn on gestures. File, import Gerberu stream. So by default, you see it's always facing the other way. I might mention that. I think a few people have already mentioned that in the Discord that the default camera should be on the other side of the scene. It's fine. So there he is. He's looking pretty good. Okay, so now we can concentrate on making a rig. So let's see, what do I do? So I'm going to go new rig and just very quickly sort of lay this out. So I'm going to put that roughly where his hips would go. So I'm kind of looking at the layout of his legs there and going, well, that's probably in the center of his legs. I will rotate this to go to the base of his neck. So the purple ring is the level scale. So I'm going to scale it to there, make a child bone, make this be his neck. So I'll put this, aim it at the base of his skull and scale it down to about, say, there. And then another child bone, scale it up and make it sort of point towards his snout, just so it's kind of clear if we have the mesh turned off where we're aiming his head. That's that. Next is the legs. So I'm going to choose the pelvis mesh, pelvis bone, make a child bone of that, drag it out to where the start of the pelvis, of the leg bone should be, rotate it forward, like there, rotate it around. I've said it a few times already, but I'll mention it again. I am doing this, my aim here is to be like sort of quick and, rough, and, my day job is 3D. That's all, very sort of careful and precise. I don't want to be doing careful, precise work at home for fun. So I'm being very loosey-goosey. It's funny that Holger Procreate mentioned this trick for doing rotation. I've done it forever. I didn't even think to share it as a tip, but he's right. If you just try and sort of rotate on the rotate handle, it's very hard to get small gestures or small rotations. But but what you can do is you can click and then you can drag your pen away, and it's like you're now using a much longer handle to do the rotation. So I can be much more precise from out here. So that's there. The same from this angle to line up in the middle of the ankle. That's cool. Make a child bone and swing this forward to become, whoops, wrong axis. Swing this forward, come on, to become the foot. So, I'm not a great rigger. It's been ages since I've rigged, for a job professionally. But I think usually with this stuff, I'm kind of aiming for where would you expect the rotation to be and where the endpoint would be. So here I'm putting the end of the bone on the floor. That seems to be sensible. So that bone's all right. I'm going to choose that and clone it. So I grab the hip, clone, hierarchy across X. Sure. I don't bother with naming. Cool. Oh, make sure to go forward. So sometimes if you press two fingers quickly, it'll undo. It would be great to have an option to turn off the two finger undo, or for that to be less sensitive. I'll do one for that. So do another bone chain for the arms. So that one, make a child bone, put it to where the shoulder starts. So actually kind of more about here. Rotate it to go forward and scale it back to the elbow. Look at it from a few different angles. Come over to here and rotate it away. Yep, child bone. Yep, to there. And you probably heard, you might have seen in the Discord people talking about undo. Yes, it is unstable, so you got to be careful. I found this step of making bones and laying them out, undo works pretty well here. So you can, press Control Z and it works most of the time. It's pretty good. Is that right? Yeah. Make child bone. But I found in an earlier build that if you try and save at this point, because of the way GLTF works, and again, Morphin is built around GLTF. GLTF is trying to be like a sort of a compressed output format for 3D. So they describe themselves as being the JPEG for 3D. So I think one of the steps it does is if you were to save now, it would go, well, nothing is actually attached to the skeleton. I better delete it because it's just wasting space. So careful there. So I tend to, get to the point where I've got this thing roughly in position like that, and I'll bind it just to make sure that it has information linking the mesh to the skeleton. So now that that's all done, I'm going to bind the mesh. So I'm going to choose the mesh, go bind and auto weight. It says no bound, and I'll do the same for the eyes as well. But for the eyes, I'll do the trick to just make it bind to the head bone. So I've got a checkbox next to the eyes, and now I'm going to choose the head bone. Something else that I notice I do, if I want to be precise about doing selection, I'll select with my finger rather than with the pen, because the pen will immediately it will select and move, whereas it seems choosing stuff with the finger is more forgiving, and it will only just select. It will only detect the tap and not a move. So anyway, so I've got the eyes with the toggle with the checkbox next to it. This bone is selected. I'm going to bind, and this time I'm going to choose weight alt count bone like that and hit bind. Okay, so now we should have. That's again this it detects two finger tap really easily and it will undo. So make sure to redo the transform if you see that. So now I can choose the bone, and I can just do a quick test. And yes, that's been bound. Not brilliantly, but it's been bound. I can maybe grab a hip bone. That's working, cool, undo. So now that that's ready, this is where I save. This is my kind of baseline. So that, and save. I'm gonna call this string 1. Okay, let's fix the weighting quickly. So I'm gonna just go through and just view the weighting. So I've gone to the weighting brush, and for skin, I'm going to go to the mesh, see what it's done. So it's done not a great job. So it's all right, we'll just go fix it. So I'm going to use the paintbrush and just fill it in like it's a singlet or a vest. Might do a little bit more weight around this way, weight around this way. My usual tack is to go like fairly sort of hard boundaries for the weighting first, and then I can go in and refine later. I always got to redo that action. I'm finding I'm trying to be much more precise about my clicking of things. So weight painting is part of the undo stack, which is kind of useful. The behavior is a bit strange, so I tend to not trust it yet. I should try and trust it more. So I hit apply. Okay, exit, and let's check out the neck. So it's not a very strange thing with the neck. That's fine. We'll fix that. So I'm just going by eyeballing where the neck is, and whoops, just trying to flood for a little. It feels good. Apply and exit, and then the rest of this should be the head. So for this thing where it's going to be like a very sort of like a broad thing that's just kind of like thinly with a soft fall off at the top of the neck joint, I'll use the gradient brush. So I'll choose this one here, and I'll just paint a ramp like that. Just check it from all angles. That feels pretty good. Apply and exit. So that's sort of the torso done. Let's look at the arms. So usually these kind of things will weight pretty well by themselves. You know, not amazingly, but kind of enough to get by. I might do a quick paint fix on that because it's a little bit too strangely weighted. So I'll just paint to there. Cool. Apply, exit. Fix up this one. Just make it a bit more precise, like that. All angles. Yeah, cool. Apply, exit, and hopefully this one will just be weighted properly. Yeah, it is. Exit. Let's look at the other bone. It would be great to have weight mirroring, but you know, that's all. You know, you can see the speed that I'm working here. You know, that would save me all of like, you know, 15 seconds. I'm not being precise. I can't say enough how much I'm not being precise or precious about this. You know, if I want like a proper precise rigging, I'm going to go out to, you know, a desktop app. If I'm in here, I'm just doing it for fun. I'm working fast and loose. Apply, exit. Okay, that's that. And finally the legs. So paint weights. It's actually done a pretty good job. Awesome. Exit. Look at the thigh bone. Sorry, the lower calf bone. Just tighten that up a little bit. It's cool. Apply, exit. Foot. This should be quite well weighted. It is. Excellent. So probably just be a little bit of paint fix on this one. So that is okay. Exit. Let's look at this one. Whoops. Painting tool. Yep. Just tighten up a little bit more. Sorry for the mumbling. Apply, exit. And this the foot should be fine. It is. Exit. Okay. So now that I've fixed up the weights, again, I will save here. So save as stream O2 weights, just so I can keep track of the steps. I should probably just check out the eyes, but no, because I did an explicit bind of the eyes to that head bone, they should be fine. So next thing I do is check out IK, because that's the fast, easy way to make these things move. So I'm going to choose, well, I don't have to choose anything. I just go to the IK button, press IK, choose that bone, the foot bone, and go OK. I'm going to use the auto stuff. So auto create a pole and automatically parent the pole under the IK handle and go apply. So it's a handle. So you can see that by default, it puts the knee pole vector directly on the knee. So the first thing I'll do is I'll drag it in front and away so it's more stable. Because now if I move the foot control, you can see that I get this nice stable foot. Go back to the pose, and you can see that it resets it here. Whereas if I move this one now, you can see that the knee can sort of like pop out really easily, which is not what you want. What's going on is with this IK system, it's trying to always point the knee towards this bone here. And so if the knee and this bone kind of sit very close, it can sort of drift backwards very easily. So the simple answer is go to the pose and grab that knee and just pull it out and away so that it's always facing forward. I do the same for the other one. Whoops. Undo. So grab that foot. Okay. That bone. All these settings are correct. Apply. Move that bone away. Up a bit. And just because they're quite large as well, I just tend to scale them down so they're not so visually intrusive. So that's fine. So as you probably noticed before, each time I reset the bind pose of this button, these bones snap back to where they started and they're huge. What you can do is if you quickly unbind and rebind the mesh, it'll then set this as the new bind pose. So I'll do that. So I'm going to choose the the mesh, and going to go to bind and then unbind. And annoyingly, it doesn't keep the selection for the mesh. So you have to go re-choose it and then go bind and bind. So as long as you don't have this clean mesh option selected when you unbind it, it stores all of the waste information. So when I rebind it, it just reattaches, but now this is the new bind pose. So I can press the pose button repeatedly, and this is the pose, which is really handy. So now I can move the hips and I get this nice sort of look to it. Back to pose. What I might do is kind of show some of the issues that I've had. So 2 IK systems for the feet tend to work really well. IK systems for the hand, they work okay, but the more you add, the more fraught it gets and it starts to possibly fall apart. Let's see how we go. So I'm going to save it at this point as well. So save as, so you can see this is where I'm trying to be kind of a little bit careful. So 03 IK legs. Apply. Cool. Let's set up IK for the hands. I mean, you don't have to, but I just find it looks nice that as I'm sort of wiggling the hips and moving the hands, sorry, moving the feet, the arms will just naturally just kind of like sort of sway a bit. It makes it look very naturalistic. So let's try that. So I've got one hand selected, IK, that one, apply, move the pole vector away and scale it down. Do the same for the other hand. Let's make sure we can select it. Use my finger, cool. IK, that, move the pole vector away and down and scale it down. I'll do the same thing again. I'll set this as my bind pose by again finding the mesh, select, bind, unbind, re-choose the mesh, bind, bind. So this is my new bind pose. So now if I move the hips, you can see this is starting to look more and more natural with each sort of change I do, which is really cool. Back to the bind pose. Now the one where I'm a little bit reluctant to do, but you may as well see how the sausage gets made, is to do one last IK system for the head, so that I can sort of like roughly aim the head in a direction and it'll sort of bob and weave as I move the body around. I will save this now, save as 04 IK arms. 40 minutes, wow, okay. That's cool, and now I'm going to do the head. So I'll choose the head. Okay, so that is the effector. Defaults again, okay, hit apply. Amazingly, that was happy. So I can remember which way this is happier, whether it goes on this side or this side. I think I want it to go this side. We'll find out. Scale it down, and I'll just do a test. So I'll grab the head effector. Okay, other way. It's the wrong way. Maybe like that. So it's kind of, yeah, it has sort of a funk to it. Maybe that should be, so this is kind of like, this effector kind of represents where it's trying to aim, I guess, the bottom of the neck. So maybe I'll try lifting it up here away from the effector and see what happens when I move that. That seems a bit more controllable. So now if I sort of keep the head aimed like that, and then I wiggle the hips, that feels pretty stable. Let's see if I can aim it a bit more forward so that the head is always sort of trying to aim forward a bit. Selection kind of often gets confused or gets in the way. You just got to sort of fight with that a bit. See how that goes there. So if I move this, okay, so those hands are too close. So I'll just try and move them away a bit. What's happened here? Bad weighting. So I'll just fix those weights quickly. So I'm going to hide the clutter of the IK effectors. So one way to do that is you choose the effector, go into the IK menu, IK settings, and it's hidden. Actually, can't do it there anymore. Is this working now? Nope. You do it from the outliner. So these things, blah blah blah, IK underscore something. That's the IK effector. So you can just go and turn off visibility for all those. Okay, so they're now hidden. Let's fix up the weight for this hand. So choose that bone. Choose that bone. It's not letting me select. Actually, let me select. That's weird. Looks like that one. And that one, but I can't select this one. That's annoying. Why is that? Well, I know that I can find that bone, and then I know it's going to be the child below it. So it's one of these many little hacks that I've worked out just to not be slowed down too much. So paint the weights on the mesh. That is interesting. That is not the bone I chose. So I think we've found a bug, which is annoying. Yeah, because that should have weight on that bone. Let me just have a look. I'm going to load the project. So open, and hopefully this will be stable. Open, sure. Okay, get the bind pose. See if I can select that bone again. That is the object. That's the IK target. So I'm going to hide all these IK targets again. Choose some other bone, then go back to this bone. Yeah, so selection here is a bit buggered. Fine. So we can see what else I can choose. So if I choose that bone, I can see the weights for that. That's cool. That's it. But if I go down the chain, so let's do this one. Yep. And if I get the child of that one, bone 15, and the weights, aha, it's working now. Okay, so sometimes a restart fixes it. Let's fix the weights for that. Apply and exit. And I'm guessing this other one will be broken as well. So which one can I choose? I can choose that one. So now I'll just sort of trip down the hierarchy till I get to the bone I want. Yep. Paint the weights. That one's all right. Okay, apply and exit. Okay, so let's try the IK again. So turn my handles back on. Cool. And let's see if this behaves. It does. I didn't save after I made the IK for the head. I think I might leave it off. You can see that was being a little bit problematic, so I think I'll just sort of skip it. Okay, so the next would be the performance side. So like I said, my initial plan was to do a walk cycle, but I just found it was hard to make the left and right legs sort of move smoothly and in a rhythm. So without a graph editor, it's really hard. But let's see, I'll just show you what I mean by that. So I've snapped to the side view. I'm also going to change my view here. Whoops, change the gesture indicator, change it to ortho, lock the rotation, and just resnap it to the side. So what I was trying to do was grab one of these handles, move it back, grab the other one, move it forward, drop the hips a bit, like that. Let's see what I can do. So I'm going to zoom in a bit, and I'm going to do the playback slower than usual. So I've pressed this playback speed button down here, this stopwatch, and I'm going to do it at 0.5. That seems fine. So let's see what I can do. So I'm going to grab one of the handles, going to give myself a 3-second countdown, keying only position keys, and I'm going to record. So I'm going to tap record, get a countdown, 1 and down and back and over and down and back and over and down. Okay, so we finished recording. Let's play that back. So it's a little bit slow, but okay. So then the next trick is how to puppeteer the other leg so that it moves in time with that one, but doesn't sort of fall out of rhythm, doesn't start to like sort of gallop. So generally speaking, I'll go even slower than the first recording, so I can sort of like keep an eye on the other one while I'm trying to puppeteer this one. I'm going to put this into a new clip called other foot. So it's easier to re-record it if I need to. So I'm going to tap record, get my countdown, and let's see if I can do it. 1 and then that goes up and down, back evenly, and up and over, and down and back evenly. Okay, see how we did. Play that at regular speed. So it's a bit janky and jerky, but kind of works better than my last attempt. So usually what I do is I'll usually actually record for a longer time frame, just so I can sort of look at my attempts to do several loops and pick out a loop that works well. But I'll try and animate the rest of it first to see if I can, just get it all going together, and then I can fix up a single loop. So that's not too bad. So let's go back to frame 1. This time I'll animate the hips. So make a new action called hips. Again, I'll record slowly so I can sort of keep track of what the whole thing is doing. So 0.5, I think, for this one. And I go record, grab the hips, ready to go. So I'm kind of thinking, I'm trying to, whoa. So this is not my finest hour. So you can see that things like that happen pretty easily, which is kind of frustrating. It seems to wig out, even though I've got the polar vector aimed down here, it's trying to bend itself backwards, which is dumb. But let's see how that looks anyway at speed. Maybe I got one loop that wasn't too bad. So I was pretty far behind. So the first loop is not good, but the other loops kind of okay. Let's see if I can find a loop. So not that one. That one almost is all right. So I'm just going to try to find the sort of extents of the motion. So maybe at like frame 40 to frame, what's that, 76. Let's try that, 40 as the start, 76 as the end, and we'll let that play. Almost. How about that? Then we zoom out. So you can see the hands, just because of the IK, actually look kind of funny. Now, the other thing that I was doing so you can see I was having all kinds of issues with IK for the head and just IK in general. So sometimes I just say, you know what, I'll just do it by hand. I mean, the advantage of the puppeteering stuff is that you can sort of just do it and look at it. If it's wrong, you do it again, do it again. Generally speaking, after 2 or 3 takes, I can get what I want. So what I'd like to do is to see if I can make the head just sort of bob up and down in a natural way. I guess the way the hands are doing, but make the head do it, but just slightly less. So just make it all look a little bit more natural. So I might go back to the full range. So just going to try and remember 40 and 76 is my keyframe range. But I go back to 1 and 100 for now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to puppeteer the rotation of the head. So I'm going to call it new action head rot. I'm going to be setting only rotation keys, and I'm going to use the grid behind as a reference point to just know what I'm trying to do. So I'm kind of almost trying to aim it there, but also I guess like make it move naturally compared to the body. So we'll see how we do. So if I go at an even slower speed, let's say 0.25, and I'm going to record. We'll see what happens. So I'm recording the head rotation clip. Let's see how we do. So just on X rotation, whoops, make sure we grab it. Missed it. No, missed it. Stop that. Delete that clip. Start again. Head rot. This is a bit of the problem with trying to capture recording, especially for rotation, is sometimes it won't let you select the handle properly. So I'm going to turn off the translation and scale key so I only get rotation. Usually the outer yellow handle is easier to grab. I don't know why, so we'll try with that. So I'm going to record into the head rotation clip. Give myself a countdown timer, grab it. Yeah, there we go. So as that moves down, I'll kind of try and make it lag behind a bit. And up, and down, and up, and down, and up, and down. Okay, so that's it. Back to regular speed. So a little bit herky-jerky, but it's not too bad. So it was 40 as the first frame and 76 as the last frame. Not too bad. Perspective, turn off lock rotation. Okay, so just realized in hindsight the legs are a bit too far apart. But what I probably can do is I don't need keys on the knee joints. I just need to move them. So if I, just to make sure that they don't set false keys, I'll put knees. I'll grab this one and see if I can just position it to be closer to the front of the body. So turn on, whoops. Come on, let me, there we are. So see if I can aim it more like this a bit. So it's a bit more knock-kneed. Let's see if I can find the other one. So that other moving handle there, that's the other knee controller. So I'll grab it and I'll move that a bit more in. We'll see how that looks. Yeah, so if I hide the rest of it, let's hide the IK controllers. Those two as well. Tap this gizmo to hide the gizmo. Go away. There we go. Okay. That's not bad. So what are the things I do? I turn on shadows just because it kind of helps, I think. Sometimes this happens where I turn on shadows and the shadows don't actually appear. That's annoying. What I could do is that trick I did with the box, just to sort of make it look as if it's moving. So if I turn off the grid, I'm going to make a cylinder, and I'll just pretend this is like, that's casting shadows. Why is that doing that? It's stupid. So let's say I start that there. And so this isn't using, this shouldn't be using pose mode. This should just be keyframing the model, I think. So that should be like that. So put it there, make sure I'm setting position keys, and key it. And this I'm just going to sort of eyeball to how much I feel it should be sort of drifting behind them. I'd say it's probably just like one pass really. So let's say that's like to there, I keyframe it. How does that feel? A little bit fast, and it should move further. So I'm going to maybe grab that key and just delete it. Delete that key and just put it right at the end, I think, of the key, and move it just a little bit further, maybe like there. Key. Okay, let's see how that feels. That's strange that he doesn't have shadows, but the cylinder does. Oh well, what you can do? Set the proper keyframe range again, so it's 40 and 76. So I say, I think it was 76. So that's kind of where I get to. So it's not amazing, but it's showing something. That's probably long enough. That's 52 minutes. Cool. I do hope YouTube saves this. Yeah. Oh, there he is, Holger. Hey. Yeah, I'm just, like I keep saying, there are frustrations with it, but I'm trying to move beyond it. I'm not trying to make, beautiful art. Like Nomad lets you make beautiful stuff and you can really finesse. This, I'm trying to be rough and ready and just fun. I just want to make stuff. If I want to do like proper stuff, I will use a proper desktop tool. I'm aware of the limitations of Morphin and I'm trying to work within it. Yeah, I think it's fun, so hopefully Adamola will also watch this and kind of pick up on some things they could do with some work. But yeah, that's my thing. I'm going to stop the stream now and hopefully this will be recorded for later. We'll see. Bye.